My name is Sabrina Whitmore. I'm 29 years old, and I didn't realize my relationship was already dying until my boyfriend said the word possessive like it was a diagnosis, not an accusation. It started small. That's the part people never understand when they tell you later, you should have seen the red flags. Red flags don't show up like fireworks. They show up like noise you learn to tolerate. 3 years with Ethan Cross taught me routine, comfort, the kind of love that doesn't feel like a romance movie, but like a warm house you've lived in long enough to know where every light switch is. Ethan was 27, magnetic in that effortless way. He smiled like he knew he was charming, and most of the time he used it for good. He worked in a creative role, events and brand partnerships, so his life was built around people, late nights, networking, and being seen. I worked in digital strategy, predictable hours, predictable pay, a brain that liked structure and calm. We balanced each other, or at least, I thought we did. Then, 6 months ago, Ethan's friend Tyler Boone got divorced. Tyler didn't just get divorced, Tyler got loudly divorced. The kind where the guy becomes a motivational speaker overnight. The kind where he starts posting gym selfies and captions like, "Level up, they lost a king." At first, I felt bad for him. I'm not heartless. Breakups don't just end relationships. They end identities. They end routines. They end the future someone had rehearsed in their head. So when Ethan told me Tyler needed support, I nodded. Of course, I said, go spend time with him. The first guys' night was a Thursday. Just drinks. Ethan came home at midnight, kissed my forehead, told me Tyler was struggling but doing better. The second time was a Friday. The third time was a Saturday. And then suddenly, it wasn't guys' night. It was guys' lifestyle. Every weekend. Like someone flipped a switch inside Ethan and the version of him I loved. The soft hoodie version, the grocery run version, the babe come watch this show version, got replaced by a man who took 30 minutes picking an outfit to impress strangers. At first, it was almost funny. Ethan would stand in front of the mirror like he was about to walk a runway. Black jeans, crisp shirt, cologne. I'd tease him. Are you going clubbing or auditioning? He'd laugh. You wouldn't get it. And that was the first bruise. Not a wound. Just a bruise. Because the thing about long-term love is, you notice when your partner stops trying to impress you and starts trying to impress everyone else. Tyler found this new spot, Ethan told me, one Friday at 9:40 p.m. It's got a VIP section. VIP? I repeated, like it was a foreign language. Ethan smirked. Yeah, Tyler knows a promoter. A promoter. That word alone made my stomach tighten, but I didn't say anything. Because I didn't want to be the girlfriend who couldn't let a man breathe. Ethan left at 10. He came back at 4. Not stumbling drunk. Not guilty, just glowing. Like the night gave him something he wasn't getting from home. He dropped his keys into the bowl too loudly, like punctuation. Then he leaned against the counter and said casually, "Babe, you should have seen it. We skipped the line. Girls were literally staring." I didn't smile. Not because I was jealous, but because why was he telling me this like it was good news? Oh, I said, nice. He didn't notice the ice forming in my voice. Or maybe he did notice and decided he liked the power of it. The next weekend, it happened again. And then again. And then the stories started getting stranger. Some girl bought Tyler a drink. This table invited us over. This promoter gave us free entry. Tyler got us bottle service. Bottle service. Like Ethan was suddenly starring in a life I didn't audition for. I tried to stay reasonable. When he'd come home late, I wouldn't fight. I'd just ask questions. Not accusing ones. Soft ones. How was it? Did you guys eat? Was Tyler okay? Ethan would answer in half sentences like he was doing me a favor. And the worst part? He started coming home with that particular smell. Alcohol and perfume and loud rooms. Not cheating. Not yet. But close enough to make my instincts itch. Then came Nikki's Instagram story. Nikki wasn't even Ethan's close friend. She was part of Tyler's new orbit. One of those girls who always had her phone up, always filming, always chasing moments like they were currency. I only followed her because she'd tagged Ethan once in a rooftop photo and I recognized the background. That Saturday night, while Ethan was out, I was on the couch with Hulu and a leftover bowl of pasta, trying to enjoy the quiet like a mature woman who trusted her man. My phone buzzed. Nikki's story. I clicked without thinking. And there he was. Ethan, in a club. Lights strobing like lightning. Music so loud I could feel it even through the screen. And Ethan, grinding. Not casual dancing. Not goofy friend dancing. Full body, deliberate, hands on the hips, grinding, with some girl in a silver dress who looked like she didn't know my boyfriend's last name, but my chest went cold. I replayed it twice. 3 times. And what made me feel sick wasn't even the physical closeness. It was the expression on his face. He looked free, like he was relieved to not be someone's boyfriend for the night. I didn't cry. I didn't throw my phone. I sat perfectly still, because a part of me already knew what this meant. When Ethan came home at 3:47 a.m., I was still awake. He froze when he saw me sitting on the couch. Not because he was guilty, because he was annoyed. "Oh," he said, "you're up." "Yes," I replied. He kicked off his shoes and tried to walk past like we were roommates. "Ethan," I said calmly. He paused without turning. I held my phone up. "I saw Nikki's story." He turned slowly, as if I'd interrupted something important. "What about it?" I kept my voice steady. "You were grinding on someone." Ethan's face didn't soften. It sharpened, like I'd challenged him. "So?" he snapped. "So, I'm not okay with that." He laughed. Not humor. Disbelief. "Are you serious right now?" "Yes," I said. "I'm serious." He walked closer, looming over the couch like I was a child being corrected. "Why are you creeping on Nikki's socials?" he demanded. "That's weird as hell." I blinked. I could feel the conversation slipping into that manipulative territory where the crime becomes my reaction to the crime. "I'm not creeping," I said. "It popped up, and it's dancing," Ethan cut in. "God, Sabrina, stop being so insecure." Insecure. That word landed like a slap. "I'm not insecure," I said. "I just don't think someone in a relationship should do that." Ethan scoffed. "This is exactly why Tyler's ex-wife left him. She was controlling, possessive, always policing him." I stared at him. The audacity was almost impressive. "Ethan," I said carefully, "you think it's controlling for me to not want my boyfriend grinding on strangers?" He threw his hands up. "If you're not okay with me hitting clubs with my single friends, you're being possessive." There it was. The word. He said it like a verdict, like I had no right to feel anything. And I looked at him for a long moment, long enough for him to shift uncomfortably, long enough for him to expect me to cry or beg or apologize. Instead, I inhaled slowly and smiled. "You're right," I said softly. Ethan blinked. "My bad." His mouth twitched, satisfied. "See?" he said, leaning down to kiss my cheek. "Progress." Then he grabbed a bottle of water from the fridge like he'd just won a debate and announced casually, "Tyler's picking me up again next weekend." I watched him walk to the bedroom like the conversation was done. Like I was done. And that's when something inside me went very still, because Ethan thought he'd just trained me. But what he actually did was give me permission. I sat alone in the quiet living room, the glow of the TV flickering across the walls, and I thought, trust, right? Boundaries go both ways, don't they? So I picked up my phone, and I downloaded Bumble. Now, before you judge me, listen, I wasn't planning to cheat. I wasn't trying to find someone better. I was trying to make Ethan understand something he refused to learn through conversation. I was going to teach him with a mirror. I created the profile using our couple photos. Beach vacation, wedding selfie, apple orchard, his arm around my waist, his smile in my hair. And then I cropped him out, just enough to make it believable. Bio, 29, digital strategist, looking for someone who values boundaries, honesty, and mutual respect. Love good food, hiking, and chill nights in. No drama, no games. Within an hour, I had 12 likes. 12. I stared at the screen like it was a social experiment. Then, Saturday night, Ethan was out again. I was swiping, half numb, half fascinated. And then I saw a profile that made me laugh under my breath. Layla Voss, one of Tyler's loudest friends. The girl who always posted hot takes about relationships like she was writing commandments. She swiped right on me instantly. A match popped up. And then her message appeared like a gunshot. "Sabrina, what the hell are you doing on here?" I stared at it for 2 seconds, then typed, "Oh, hey, just working on myself. Ethan says I need to be less possessive and more trusting." And that was the exact moment I knew. This was about to explode. Because Layla wasn't just a friend. Layla was a messenger. And she was going to run straight back to Ethan with this like it was a trophy. I set my phone down, leaned back on the couch, and whispered to the empty apartment, "Game on." The weird thing about setting a trap is, you don't always expect it to snap that fast. I'd barely set my phone down before it lit up again. Not a text, a call. "Ethan." I stared at his name on my screen, and for half a second, just half, I considered not answering. Let him sit in the discomfort. Let him feel what it's like to reach for me and find air. But curiosity has always been my flaw. And that night, curiosity felt like gasoline. I answered calmly. "Hey." His voice hit my ear like a slammed door. "What the hell are you doing on Bumble?" I let a beat pass, long enough for him to hear my breathing. long enough for him to imagine me smiling. Having personal growth, I said lightly, expanding my circle. Don't do that, he snapped. Delete it, now. I glanced at the clock on the microwave, 12:18 a.m. He was calling me from somewhere loud. I could hear bass in the background, that wet thump of a club that makes conversation feel like shouting underwater. How's your night going? I asked. Stop changing the subject, Sabrina. I'm not changing it, I said. I'm just keeping it equal. Ethan exhaled harshly, like I was a difficult coworker instead of his girlfriend. You're on a dating app, he said, slower now, like he was explaining a concept to a child. That's cheating. And you grinding on strangers isn't? I asked. A pause. Then, that's different. I almost laughed. It wasn't funny. It was textbook. How is it different? I asked, keeping my voice smooth. Because I'm with my friends, he said, like that settled it. You're literally trying to date other people. I leaned back against the couch, staring at the dark window where our reflection faintly hovered like ghosts. I'm literally on our couch, I said. Watching Hulu. You're the one out right now. Another pause. Then his voice dropped. Dangerous. Tight. Where are you, by the way? I just told you, I said. Home. No, he insisted. Like, where are you on Bumble? What are you doing? Who are you talking to? I let silence stretch. Then I said softly, that sounds pretty possessive. He made a sound, half growl, half scoff. Don't play semantics with me. Semantics? I repeated. Ethan, you used the word possessive like a weapon 2 hours ago. I'm just learning from you. His voice rose, sharp enough I could picture his jaw clenched, his eyes scanning the club like he was imagining some man sitting beside me. You are not doing this, he said. Delete it. I'm serious. And I'm serious, I replied. If you can have a single social life on weekends, so can I. You're twisting it, he snapped. No, I said, I'm mirroring it. His breathing got louder, like I'd forced him to sprint without moving. Then, suddenly, he hung up. Just cut the line. Like slamming a door because he couldn't win the argument. I stared at my phone for a moment, and I felt something inside me settle into place. Not rage. Not heartbreak. Clarity. He'd done it before, too. Ended conversations when he didn't like where they were going. But I'd always been the one to follow, to soften, to fix. That night I didn't. I set my phone on this coffee table and went back to my show like I was alone. Because honestly, I was. Ethan came home at 1:06 a.m. Not 4 o'clock like usual. Not drunk. Not cheerful. Not glowing. He moved like a storm cloud. He didn't kiss me. Didn't even look at me. He walked past the couch, past the kitchen, into the bedroom, then shut the door so hard the wall gave a tiny tremor. It should have made me flinch. Instead, it made me calmer. Because anger is predictable. Hypocrisy is the thing that makes you feel crazy. I slept, but lightly, like my body didn't trust the air in the house. Sunday morning, I found him at the kitchen table. His phone was already out. Not casually. Not like someone scrolling. Like someone preparing evidence. He looked up as I poured coffee. We need to talk about boundaries, he said. I took a slow sip, then sat across from him. Great, I said. I agree. His eyes narrowed, like he wasn't expecting cooperation. You crossed a line, he said. Which one? I asked. The one where I'm supposed to be fine with you grinding on strangers. Or the one where I'm not allowed to have my own social life? Ethan's jaw tightened. Being on a dating app while in a relationship is cheating, he said firmly. That's not negotiable. And grinding on random women isn't? I asked again, calmly. It's just dancing. And Bumble's just an app, I said. He blinked, like the words offended him. He swiped his thumb across his screen and turned it toward me. A neat little stack of screenshots. Messages. DMS. Group chat reactions. Layla, Tyler, Nikki, people I barely cared about, had all sent him proof of my profile like they'd found a dead body in our living room. You used our photos, Ethan said, voice strained. Our vacation. Our memories. My face was in those pictures. I cropped you out, I corrected. That's not the point. I tilted my head slightly. What is the point, Ethan? He stared at me like he was trying to find the right angle to make me feel guilty. The point, he said, is you're being petty. The word landed like something familiar, because petty was what people called women when they stopped being convenient. I'm being fair, I replied. You want to act single on weekends? Cool. Ethan's eyes flashed. I'm not acting single. You are, I said simply. You just don't like that I'm finally naming it. He leaned back in his chair and exhaled through his nose. Then he said low, like a threat dressed as confidence. Fine. I waited. He continued, if you're going to do this, then I'll do it too. I laughed once, short and humorless. Okay, I said, do it. Ethan's mouth twitched, like he'd expected me to panic, to cry, to beg him not to. But I didn't. Because that's the part men like Ethan never understand. Once a woman reaches the point where she stops pleading, she's already halfway out the door. By Sunday afternoon, I got a notification. A mutual friend D made me with one line. Girl, is Ethan serious? Then the screenshot followed. His Bumble profile. He used our photos too. But instead of cropping himself out, he kept himself in and blurred my face like I was a stranger, like I was shameful, like I was disposable. His bio read, recently out of something toxic, learning to breathe again, looking for a woman who understands that trust isn't control. I stared at it for a long time, not because it hurt, because it revealed something. Ethan didn't just want freedom. He wanted the story where he was the hero for taking it. And then my phone buzzed again. Another message. From someone I recognized. Sarah, a woman from Ethan's workplace I'd met exactly twice. Once at a holiday party, once in passing in the lobby. Her text was short. Sabrina, are you and Ethan okay? I just saw his profile. I stared at the message, and something cold slid through my chest. Because this wasn't just a relationship argument anymore. It wasn't private. It wasn't even contained to our friend group. Ethan had taken it to the world, and the world was watching. I typed back carefully. We're taking a break. He needs space to explore his freedom. I hit send, then set my phone down. For a moment, my hands trembled, not from fear, but from the surreal feeling of stepping onto a moving escalator and realizing you can't stop it now. Because I knew what would happen next. That word, break, would spread through his office like smoke. And Ethan? Ethan cared about optics more than truth. Which meant he was going to come home furious. He did. Tuesday night. He burst through the door like he owned the air. You're telling people we're broken up? He demanded, eyes blazing. I didn't flinch. I kept chopping vegetables calmly, like my hands belonged to someone else. I said we're taking a break, I replied. Ethan slammed his keys onto the counter. That's the same thing. I finally looked up. Isn't that what you've been doing every weekend? I asked. Acting like you're not in a relationship? He stared at me, breathing hard. I'm not acting single, he insisted. I'm just having fun with my friends. And I'm just chatting with new people on an app, I said, matching his tone. Isn't that what you told me? That it doesn't mean anything? His eyes widened. Then he said, quiet and venomous, you matched with my coworkers. I didn't target them, I said honestly. They popped up. They recognized you from your Instagram. They swiped out of curiosity. Ethan's nostrils flared. You're humiliating me. I blinked slowly. No, I said, you're humiliating yourself. I'm just refusing to cover it up. For a second, I thought he might shout. Instead, he smiled. It wasn't a real smile. It was a decision. Okay, he said, you want to play games? He pulled out his phone, tapping fast. And when he looked up again, his eyes were bright with something that scared me. Not anger. Enjoyment. You started it, he said. Then, like he was announcing a party, he added, I'm inviting everyone over Thursday. We're going to talk about your behavior. My stomach tightened. Everyone, I asked? Ethan's smile widened. Tyler, Layla, Nikki, a couple others, people who actually understand what toxic looks like. He walked past me, shoulder brushing mine on purpose, and as he disappeared into the bedroom, he said softly, You're gonna look real stupid when everyone tells you you're wrong. The apartment went quiet again. But this time, it didn't feel like peace. It felt like the pause before thunder. I stood there with the knife in my hand, staring at the cutting board. And I realized something with terrifying clarity. Ethan wasn't trying to fix us. He was trying to win. To punish me for making him feel exposed. And if he was willing to put me on trial inside my own home, then I needed to stop thinking like a girlfriend and start thinking like a woman protecting her future. Because something told me Thursday wasn't going to be a conversation. It was going to be an ambush. And I had 3 days to prepare. Thursday came with a strange kind of light. Bright outside, clear sky. The kind of day that makes you think life is stable, even when it isn't. I worked from home that afternoon, but I couldn't concentrate. Every email felt like static. Every Slack notification felt too loud. Because in the back of my mind, I could see it already. My living room. My couch. A semicircle of people Ethan barely liked until they became useful. A trial staged not for truth, but for humiliation. By 6 p.m., I'd done the only thing I could do to feel even slightly in control. I cleaned. Not because I cared what they thought of my apartment. Because cleaning is what you do when your body needs a task to keep from shaking. Ethan got home at 7:10, showered, and changed into something fitted and expensive. Not date night expensive. Performance expensive. He didn't speak to me much, just moved around the apartment like he was setting a stage. At 7:55, he opened a bottle of wine, like this was a social gathering, not an emotional execution. At 8:03, the doorbell rang. And suddenly my home didn't feel like mine. Ethan opened the door with a wide, practiced smile. "Come in," he said warmly, like he was hosting a dinner party. First was Tyler Boone, swaggering in with that post-divorce energy, like the world owed him attention. He gave me a look, quick, dismissive, then clapped Ethan on the shoulder like they were teammates. Then Layla Voss, eyes already sharp, lips pursed like she'd come prepared to diagnose me. Then Nikki Lane, phone in hand, already filming a fun night story before she'd even stepped inside. And then two women I didn't recognize. One wore a tight black dress and heavy perfume. The other had glitter on her eyelids, and the kind of grin that said she'd been told a story about me already, and believed it. Ethan introduced them like it was normal. "This is Brianna and Chloe," he said. "Friends from the club." Friends. From the club. Inside my living room, something in me went very cold. Not jealousy. Not fear. Violation. They sat on my couch like they belonged there. Tyler took the armchair. Layla sat forward, elbows on knees, like a therapist who already hated her client. Nikki perched near the edge, phone ready. Brianna and Chloe sat together, whispering once, then looking at me like I was entertainment. Ethan stood near the TV, arms crossed. He looked like he was about to start a presentation. "Okay," he said, voice calm but charged. "We're here because Sabrina did something manipulative, and I think she needs to hear it from people besides me." I stared at him. "Is this seriously happening?" I asked. Layla jumped in immediately, like she'd been waiting for permission. "It needs to," she said, "because what you did is classic control behavior." "Control?" I repeated. "By downloading Bumble after he told me I was possessive for having boundaries?" Tyler waved a hand dismissively. "Boundaries," he mocked. "You're weaponizing that word." Ethan nodded, pleased. "Exactly," he said. "She's twisting it." I looked around the room, at the faces, and what hit me wasn't anger. It was the realization that none of them came here curious. They came here convinced. So I stopped talking like someone trying to be understood, and started talking like someone building a record. "Okay," I said, voice steady. "Let's define it then. What did I do that was toxic?" Layla's eyes flashed, like she loved that question. "You made a dating profile using your relationship photos," she said, "to punish him." "To prove a point," I corrected, and I cropped him out. Brianna laughed quietly like that was adorable. Chloe chimed in, voice sweet and condescending. "That's petty, though. Like, why not just trust him?" I turned to her slowly. "What exactly am I supposed to trust?" She shrugged, that he's out having fun with his friends. "And when he grinds on strangers?" I asked. The room shifted slightly, a micropause. Nikki spoke too fast. "It's dancing. It's a club. That's what people do." "So if I kissed someone at a bar," I asked, "that would also be just what people do?" Tyler laughed. "You're being dramatic." "No," I said, "I'm being precise." Ethan's jaw tightened. "You're trying to trap people with hypotheticals," he snapped. I looked straight at him. "No," I said calmly. "I'm trying to locate the line you keep pretending doesn't exist." Layla scoffed. "There is no line if you trust your partner." I nodded once, very slowly. "Then you won't mind if I keep my Bumble profile," I said. Silence, like I'd turned off the music mid-beat. Brianna's smile faltered. Chloe blinked. Tyler leaned back like he wasn't expecting that, and Ethan's eyes narrowed. "That's different," he said again, like it was his favorite shield. I held his gaze. "How?" He stepped forward. "Because you're doing it to be spiteful." "And you going to clubs isn't?" I asked. "You're doing it to feel single while still having a girlfriend at home." Layla's voice rose. "That is not what's happening." "Oh?" I said, then explained why he demanded I delete it the second he found out. Tyler cut in, leaning forward like a prosecutor. "Because dating apps are for meeting people." "And clubs aren't?" I asked. Nikki laughed, but it came out nervous. "Clubs are social." "So is Bumble." Ethan's face reddened. "Stop," he snapped. "You're twisting everything." I looked around again, slowly. Then I asked the question that cracked the room open. "If there are no lines, why are you all here trying to make sure I delete my profile?" Another silence. Layla opened her mouth, then closed it. Brianna looked at Chloe. Chloe suddenly found the carpet interesting. Ethan's jaw clenched hard enough I thought his teeth might crack. Nikki's phone lowered a few inches. I could almost hear the thought forming in their heads. "Wait, are we admitting something by being here?" And that's when Layla recovered. Because people like Layla always recover. She grabbed her phone and said, "Look, it's simple. If you delete your profile right now, we'll make sure Ethan doesn't cross any lines at the club." The words landed heavy. I turned my head to her slowly. "You'll make sure?" I repeated. Layla shrugged, like it was normal. "Yeah, like, we can keep him in check." I let the moment sit. Then I said softly, almost kindly, "So you're admitting lines exist?" The air went tight. Ethan barked, "That's not what she meant." But it was, and everyone knew it. That was the moment the trial went off script. Because suddenly, it wasn't about me being toxic. It was about them accidentally confessing that Ethan needed supervision. Ethan's eyes flicked around the room, calculating, cornered. Then he straightened, and something in his face changed. Not defensiveness. Decision. "Fine," he said, voice cold. "Keep your profile." I blinked once, because that sounded like surrender. But Ethan didn't surrender. He punished. He looked directly at me. "I don't care," he said, "but I'm changing mine." Layla's face lit up like she'd just been told they were going to war. Nikki's phone came back up. Brianna and Chloe leaned in like they'd paid for tickets. Ethan grabbed his phone and started typing. Fast, aggressive, performative. I watched his thumbs move. And as he typed, I felt something inside me unravel, not because I loved him and he was slipping away, but because he was showing me in real time how little he respected me. A minute later, he turned the screen toward the room like a trophy, and I saw it. His updated bio. "In an open relationship. My girlfriend thinks she's proving a point, but the joke's on her. Hit me up if you can handle a real man." My stomach dropped, not with heartbreak, with disbelief. Because he didn't just humiliate me privately. He labeled me publicly. He rewrote the terms of our relationship without my consent. And his friends, his jury, reacted like it was entertainment. Tyler whistled. "Savage." Layla grinned. "As you should." Nikki giggled. "Iconic." Brianna laughed. Chloe clapped once like an idiot. And I sat there very still as my brain did something strange. It zoomed out, like my mind stepped back from my body and looked at the scene like a stranger. A woman on her own couch, surrounded by people in her home, watching her boyfriend publicly announce that she could be cheated on because he'd branded it open. I stood up slowly. The room quieted. Ethan's smile sharpened. "What, you're mad?" I looked at him, and I realized something with terrifying peace. This wasn't a fight anymore. This was an ending. "You just broke up with me," I said softly. Ethan scoffed. "No, I didn't." "Yes, you did," I replied. "You just don't realize it yet." Layla rolled her eyes. "Oh my God, drama." I held up my hand, not to silence her, to remind myself I still had power. I walked to the door, opened it, and said calmly, "Everyone out." Tyler blinked. "Wait." "Out," I repeated, voice still calm. Ethan stared at me like I'd lost my mind. "You can't kick them out," he snapped. "I can," I said. "This is my home too, and I'm done being disrespected in it." Nikki lowered her phone. "Sabrina, relax." "Out," I said again, eyes on her, "and delete anything you filmed in my apartment." Brianna laughed like I was cute. Chloe whispered, "Is she serious?" I didn't answer. I just stood there holding the door open like a line had been drawn. One by one, they filed out. Some annoyed, some confused, some still smirking. Layla walked past me and murmured, "Good luck keeping a man if you act like this." I smiled slightly, because she still thought the point was keeping him. When the door finally shut behind them, the apartment went quiet again. Ethan stood near the kitchen, arms crossed, eyes bright with anger. "You embarrassed me," he said. I turned to him slowly. "You announced we're in an open relationship," I replied. "In what universe did you think I wouldn't embarrass you back?" Ethan's chest rose and fell. Then he said the thing that confirmed everything I needed to know. "You're going to regret this." I looked at him for a long moment. Then I said, almost gently, "I already regret staying as long as I did." Ethan stared, stunned, like he couldn't believe I'd said it out loud. And that's when my phone buzzed. A notification from Bumble. A new match. I glanced down. A man named Logan Reed. Bio, straightforward, funny, clean. His first message popped up instantly. "Your boyfriend sounds exhausting. Want to trade stories over tacos?" I didn't respond. Not yet. But I didn't unmatch either. Because I wasn't going to be shamed into silence anymore. And somewhere deep inside, I could feel it coming. The real explosion. Not the friend group trial. Not the open relationship stunt. Something worse. Something public. Because Ethan didn't just want freedom. He wanted victory. And men like that don't stop when they're losing. They escalate. I went to bed that night with the bedroom door locked. Not because I was afraid he'd hurt me. Because I was afraid he'd try to love bomb me back into being small. And as I lay in the dark, I thought one sentence over and over. If he's willing to lie to the world, he's willing to do anything to protect his image. And I didn't know it yet. But the proof I needed was already on its way. From someone I'd never met. From a man named Mason. With a video that would end everything. The message from Mason came in at 12:47 a.m. I remember the time because I'd been staring at the ceiling, counting the seconds between Ethan's footsteps as he paced the apartment like a caged animal, opening drawers, slamming cabinets, sighing dramatically, waiting for me to react. I didn't. My phone buzzed once on the nightstand. A DM request. Mason H. Hey, sorry to bother you this late, but is this your boyfriend? There was a video attached. I sat up, not with panic, with a strange, grounded stillness, like my body already knew what it was about to see. I opened it. The clip was shaky, loud, and unmistakable. A club, neon lights, a packed floor, music so bass-heavy it rattled through my speakers. And there was Ethan, shirt unbuttoned, laughing too hard, kneeling in front of a woman on a table. Salt, lime, tequila. He tilted his head back and licked a line of salt off her stomach while the crowd cheered. Then the shot poured down her chest, then his mouth. The camera zoomed just enough to catch his face. Not drunk, not pressured, thrilled. The video ended with Mason's voice laughing in the background. Bro's wild. I watched it twice, then a third time, not to punish myself, but to remove doubt. Because the thing about betrayal is this. Once you see it clearly, it loses its power to hurt you. It just becomes information. I replied to Mason with one line. Not anymore, thanks. He sent back a thumbs up emoji and nothing else. I locked my phone and lay back down. And for the first time in weeks, I slept. The next morning, I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't confront Ethan immediately. I made coffee, answered emails, scheduled meetings. Because what I was about to do required precision. Around 10 a.m., I updated my Bumble profile. I changed one photo to a clean, well-lit gym selfie from earlier that week. Hair up, no makeup, calm eyes. Then I added one line to the bio. Single, ready for something real. Ex thought boundaries were possessive. I thought body shots with strangers were cheating. I didn't tag him. I didn't name him. I didn't need to. Within minutes, my phone buzzed. Logan, so, you made that call? I stared at the message for a second, then typed. Seems it was made for me. Logan, cows tomorrow, 2 p.m. I smiled. Definitely. Ethan came home early that afternoon. Too early. He stood in the doorway of the living room like he was bracing himself for impact. You've been quiet, he said. I turned my laptop screen off and looked at him. Do you want to explain this? I asked, holding up my phone. His face drained of color as the video played. I watched it with him this time, studied the way his jaw tightened, the way his eyes darted, the way his mouth opened before he decided which lie to use. That's not what it looks like, he said quickly. I paused the video on a perfect still frame, his mouth mid-shot, tequila glistening. It looks like you licking alcohol off a stranger, I said calmly. It was a dare, he insisted. The guys... Ethan, I cut in. Stop. The word landed heavier than yelling ever could. He swallowed. Then he shifted tactics. It didn't mean anything. I nodded once. Good. He relaxed a fraction. Too soon. Then you won't mind that I have a date tomorrow. His eyes snapped up. A what? Tacos, I said, 2 p.m. You can't go on a date, he said, stunned. We're together. I tilted my head. Are we? Yes, he snapped. We are. I played the video again, just 10 seconds. Because you're doing body shots off strangers, I said, and calling it just dancing. That was a game, he shouted. A joke. And dating apps are games too, I replied. That's what you said. His face twisted, not with sadness, with rage. You're doing this to hurt me, he said. I'm doing this, I said evenly, because you've shown me, repeatedly, that you want to be single on weekends. He stepped toward me. I don't want to be single. Then you shouldn't have acted like it, I said. Silence fell heavy. Then I said the sentence that ended everything. You have 30 days to find somewhere else to live. He laughed, sharp, disbelieving. You can't kick me out. You're not on the lease, I replied. You pay month to month. Legally, you're a tenant. His smile vanished. You're serious. I've never been more serious. The smear campaign started that night. Texts from mutual friends. Vague Instagram stories about financial abuse and men who can't handle confident women. I sent one video. That was all it took. Nate texted me. Yeah, you're good. That's insane. Friday, while I was at work, Ethan threw a party. At my apartment. 20 people. Music blasting. People on the balcony. Someone vaping inside. My neighbor sent me videos. I didn't confront him. I called in a noise complaint anonymously. The police showed up. Ethan tried to claim it was his apartment. It wasn't. The party died fast. When I came home, the place was trashed. Bottles everywhere. Burn mark on the coffee table. Vomit in the bathroom. I documented everything. Then texted him. You have 48 hours to restore the apartment to its original condition, or I'll deduct cleaning and damages from your deposit. He replied instantly. I didn't pay a deposit. The $500 you sent when you moved in, I wrote. I have the receipt. He didn't respond. Saturday morning, I left for tacos with Logan. He was better than expected. Not flashy, not performative. Just present. 3 hours passed like nothing. When I got home, Ethan was waiting with printed tenant rights from a sketchy website. "You have to give me 60 days, he said triumphantly. "That's for year-long leases," I replied. "Yours is month to month." His confidence cracked. "Where am I supposed to go?" "You have friends," I said. "You're never alone, remember?" Sunday was eviction day. Ethan hadn't packed a thing. He sat on the couch in my old sweatshirt, eating cereal like a protest. "I'm not leaving," he said. "Okay," I replied. Then I picked up the first box and carried it outside. He jumped up. "What are you doing?" "You said you weren't leaving," I said. "So your stuff is." "That's illegal." "After 30 days' notice, it isn't." He called Tyler. Tyler showed up with his DJ friend. The DJ looked at the boxes, looked at Ethan, and said quietly, "Man, maybe we should help him move." Even he got it. 3 hours later, Ethan's things were gone. He cried, not sad tears, entitled ones. "You'll regret this," he said. I looked at him once. "You licked tequila off a stranger," I replied. The DJ blinked. "Wait, you did body shots?" Tyler glared at him. Not helping. As they drove away, Ethan leaned out the window. "She's using you for a rebound." I smiled. Still better than being used as a weekend accessory. That night, I changed the locks. And for the first time in a long time, I felt safe in my own home again. The quiet after Ethan left felt unreal. Not peaceful at first, just empty. Like a room after furniture's been hauled out and the echo hasn't settled yet. For the first few days, I kept expecting chaos to come back. Another confrontation, another guilt trip, another attempt to rewrite the narrative. And it did, just not in the way he expected. The smear campaign went public on Monday. Instagram stories, vague captions, black and white selfies with inspirational quotes about freedom and healing from narcissists. He never used my name. He didn't have to. Anyone who knew us knew exactly who the villain in his story was supposed to be. Except the story didn't land. Because the video already existed. It circulated quietly at first. Group chats, DMs, a few, "Wait, is that Ethan?" messages. Then louder. People didn't even need context. The optics explained themselves. By Wednesday, Ethan had a new reputation, not as a misunderstood guy escaping a controlling relationship, but as that guy. The one people warned each other about. The one whose name came with a raised eyebrow and a "be careful." He tried to come back. 3 weeks later, 11:14 p.m., a knock on my door. I didn't open it right away. I looked through the peephole and saw him standing there in that same clubbing outfit, the tight shirt, the cologne I used to like. He looked smaller somehow, less certain. "I miss you," he said through the door. I didn't move. "Can we talk?" "We're talking," I replied, still not opening it. He tried the handle. Locked. He knocked again, softer this time. "I know I messed up," he said. "I've been thinking a lot." "I'm sure you have," I replied. "I just want closure." I laughed quietly. "No, you want access." Silence. Then his voice turned sharp. "You replaced me fast." "You replace me every weekend," I said. "I just made it official." He knocked for 20 minutes. I didn't open the door once. Eventually, his footsteps faded, and I slept better than I had in months. The fallout was impressive. Tyler and his DJ friend imploded within weeks. Layla stopped talking to Nikki after a messy overlap involving someone neither of them wanted to admit they'd cared about. The friend group fractured, sides drawn, secrets leaked, loyalties tested. Turns out relationships built on chaos don't survive consequences. Who knew? Ethan moved back in with his parents. His mom, who I ran into at the grocery store one afternoon, waved at me like we were old friends. "Oh, Sabrina," she said loudly, smiling. "How's Logan?" Ethan pretended not to hear and practically sprinted toward the parking lot. She winked at me. "He's in therapy now," she added. "About time." And me? I kept my routines. My job. My calm. Logan and I didn't rush anything. We went on actual dates, ate real meals, made plans that didn't involve clubs or validation from strangers. One night he asked me something simple. "What do you think couples should be like?" I didn't hesitate. "They should act like couples," I said. He smiled. "Exactly." The last petty move happened by accident. Ethan had forgotten he was still logged into my Hulu account. I noticed one night, his profile active, watching a show from his parents' house. I changed the password. My phone buzzed immediately. "Ethan, seriously?" I smiled. Me. "You wanted independence. Hulu's $14.99 a month." He didn't reply. A month later, I heard he was back on dating apps. New bio. Something about trust and freedom and not being controlled. A friend matched with him out of curiosity. First message Ethan sent, "Do you go to clubs? It's important my partner supports my social life." She unmatched instantly. Here's the thing I learned. Boundaries aren't punishments. They're filters. They don't ruin good relationships. They expose bad ones. Ethan didn't lose me because I was possessive. He lost me because he wanted all the benefits of commitment with none of the responsibility. And once I stopped playing along, the whole illusion collapsed. As for me, I didn't win because I outsmarted him. I won because I chose myself, and I never apologized for it.